3 years ago, I had a job I didn't want to be at, struggled to make any meaningful long-term connections, and failed at balancing work, school, and life. Fast forward to now, I still have a job I don't want to be at. I'm still struggling with feeling at home at school, and I'm still failing at balancing my life. Despite that, I'm vastly less depressed, and I'm willing to give life a try. What changed? Before I touch on that, I want to walk you through the stages of depression I experienced. I want to be clear. I have not been diagnosed with depression, but I couldn't ignore what I was feeling. I don't care if I don't have clinical depression, or if I do, or if I have something else. I just needed to accept that I wasn't okay. That was hard, to say the least. I couldn't even admit to myself that I was unhappy for the longest time because I wasn't diagnosed. So it's all in my head, right? Not only that, but social media taught me how depressed people should be, and I wasn't like that. I didn't have terrible hygiene. I didn't have a nervous breakdown every time I went outside. I didn't struggle with most basic human functions. Furthermore, I had housing I didn't need to pay for. I went to a good community college, had a job, and didn't need to worry about food or water. I felt immeasurably guilty for thinking that I might be depressed. The longer I couldn't ignore it, the angrier I got. Once I couldn't deny my unhappiness, I fell into a pit of self-loathing. How could I? How could you? Nothing unfortunate has happened to me. I haven't experienced a great loss in the family. My parents aren't divorced. I seem fine to most people. And I live a life most people would literally die for. So what right do I have to be depressed? I hate myself. That's what I told myself anytime waves of depression came crashing by. Also, throughout most of my childhood, I'd say I was a pretty jovial guy. That further fed into this idea of it couldn't be me. If I'm depressed, that's pathetic and unacceptable. I'd say this stage was the most destructive to my mental health. I began valuing myself less and avoided socializing because who would want to hang out with a sad, pathetic piece of flesh? I know, it was a lot. So at this point, I've at least accepted that I have a problem, right? Well, yes and no. When the denial and the anger became too much to bear, I downplayed everything. I'm fine. If I just sleep well, wake up on time, build good habits, things that take like what, maybe a day or two to accomplish, I'll be good. I'll have no reason to be sad. Just one little oversight. I wasn't addressing my lack of motivation to do any of those things. I never even considered my emotions. I kept approaching this issue in an apathetic, cold, and dense manner. Because if I took my emotions seriously and admit that maybe I don't need cold logic, I'd be legitimizing the problem. Because it's not a problem, right? Give me one good night's sleep and I'll be fine tomorrow. It got to a point where I accepted it. I admitted that I had a problem and that there was nothing I could do about it. I was just there, alone, with thoughts of nothingness. I wallowed in self-pity and self-loathing. Okay, it's really that bad, and I'm not going to deal with it because I can't, because I'm not strong enough. And anytime I get a ray of hope or joy from hanging out with friends, it's a lie. It's not real. Because afterwards, I'm back home, still alone, still nothing. I think I spent the longest amount of time in this stage. I made myself believe that it was somehow my fate to never be myself again. Being a shell was so much easier. I didn't need to deal with my problems. I could just do what was expected of me. Earn money, have good grades, and be physically healthy. Eventually, I couldn't pretend to enjoy being complacent anymore. Something had to change. Every year, my family and I will meet up to go on a trip. I see my family at most 3 weeks a year, and I've only cried 3 times since living alone. The first time was when my parents finished helping me move. The second time was at work, when I opened up to a coworker about how alone I felt. Surprisingly, whenever we went on a family trip, I didn't feel that level of emotion. Not that I didn't care, but I was just happy and didn't dare to examine how much I needed these gatherings to survive. Which brings me to what I was missing, being honest with myself. I feel that I'm most like myself when I'm around them. I'm doing decent in school, I have a decent job, and I'm living well within my means. But I put most of my creative endeavors on hold, like photography, singing, video making, and writing. Because what's the point? To make money with those things, you have to be special, right? There are only a select few chosen people that can thrive in this business, right? So I ignored that part of myself. I thought to myself, don't be silly. Occasionally, an idea would be too good to ignore. I think about it for days on end, and then come to the conclusion that it would be dumb to even try. I realized that just accepting that I was depressed wasn't the end. I had to accept that I was depressed and wasn't satisfied with simply getting by. Just because I wasn't dead doesn't mean I was alive either. I don't know what it was about this trip, whether it was the nature, the good food, museums filled with meaning, or just good timing, but I felt so much more hopeful about my life that I could mold it into something that I actually want. One night, I opened up to my sister and told her that I may have been dealing with depression for the past few years. She said that she noticed, but didn't want to bring it up. That was the first time I ever told anyone, straight up, that I had depression. Afterwards, I talked her ear off, talking about all my ideas for videos, photos, and cover songs. I felt better as each day went by. Then came the final day of our trip. Would I go back home and say the same and live like a ghost till I see them again next year? Before I left, I honestly couldn't tell you. I prayed to my parents as they wished me good luck, as it's tradition. I felt good. Nothing less, nothing more. Just good. Almost eerily neutral. I was scared that I didn't change at all. I get into my car and say goodbye to my parents one last time. Without warning, without any foresight or expectation, I started crying like a baby. I hadn't cried in so long that I didn't know how to react. I didn't even know if I should be okay with what I was doing. While I'm crying, I'm trying to make sense of everything. I realized I wasn't okay with how I was living, and that I could do something about it. Of course, I need money to survive, but I genuinely like making videos and Instagram posts and cover songs because I love to sing. What's the point of me worrying about making money from these things if I don't even start in the first place? It does hurt me when a video or a post doesn't get the traction that I thought it would. But what's the point of giving up? Why not learn from these failures? Why did I suffocate myself for so long? I have a loving family, friends that care about me, and a life worth cherishing. It was a blurry trip back. Since then, I've enjoyed life more. I'm willing to try out new music, shows, and movies. I still don't want to be at my job, but I know that right after I'm off, I can go back to doing this. I even reconnected with a long-distance friend of mine after ghosting him for several years because I thought he'd never want to talk to me ever again after years of silence. I'm not depression-free by any means. I still have bad days. Days where I'll lay in bed until the sun sets. Days where I don't want to do anything. Days where I question, what's the point of any of this? That's where intrinsic motivation comes in. I rediscovered my passion for doing things my way. I have an identity worth expressing. I have a goal for this channel and myself, and I hope you'll see it through with me. This was my journey towards a better place. The only way from here is up. For my new viewers, I post a variety of content here. Not every video will be a very deep talk. There will be vlogs, some random things like cooking, cover songs, and of course, the occasional deep talk. If you like this video, please like it. And if you want more of me, doing things, talking about things, subscribe for more of me. Whatever it is you're trying to accomplish in life, you can do it. Thank you for watching.